Hi, my name is Savannah Seagraves, and this is my 5-image story. So we're going to be talking about the general circulation of the atmosphere, and the circulation of the atmosphere has an impact on the wind, weather, and the climate, and during this we'll talk about some of the things that impact it. So first we're going to talk about the direction of the wind. So normally wind flows in a horizontal direction, but it can be affected by the pressure gradient, the Coriolis effect, and friction. This image shows how wind is affected in high and low pressure zones in both hemispheres. So air always wants to travel to the place of least resistance. So in low pressure zones, the outside air is at a higher pressure, so it travels inward toward the low pressure zones. And in high pressure zones, the air outside is lower, so the air flows from the inside towards the outside. In low pressure zones, the air is converging, which means that the air is coming towards the center, and it does this at a counterclockwise direction. In high pressure zones, the air is diverging, and this happens in a clockwise direction. However, in the southern hemisphere, it is opposite. So in low pressure zones, the air is still converging, but it rotates at a clockwise direction. And in high pressure zones, the air is still diverging, but it rotates in a counterclockwise direction. So the Coriolis effect is what causes the wind to deflect to the right or to the left, and this happens because the Earth is rotating. And in the northern hemisphere, the rotation causes the wind to deflect to the right, where in the southern hemisphere, it causes the wind to deflect to the left. The air rising and descending is created by the low and high pressure zones. And in high pressure zones, the air is descending down, and that means that that warm air is being pushed towards the ground. And when this happens, that means that there's usually nice weather and there's not typically a whole lot of storms. Where in the low pressure zone, the warm air is being pushed upwards, which will create condensation and will create the clouds. And when this happens, it can create precipitation, and also in low pressure zones is where we get some of the strongest storms. So the wind and the air pressure has an effect on the climate. So along the 30 degree latitude lines or near the westerly winds, the air is in a high pressure zone, which means the air is being pushed downward. And when that warm air is being pushed downwards, that means there's not a lot of precipitation. And so this is along those 30 degree latitude lines is where a lot of the deserts are, because there's that warm air being pushed down and not a lot of precipitation. Where towards the equator, those are areas of low pressure zones, which that's where the clouds are created and the storms, so there's a lot of tropic areas there, and it's usually warmer.